My stutter began when I was around 5 years old. My childhood wasn't good. I have more bad memories than good ones. At school, I would get teased and bullied for the way that I spoke. I was forcing and making weird faces and repeating words. It was a really bad experience. I felt like stuttering had taken so many opportunities away from me. I became even more depressed. If I truly love myself, I have to accept the fact that I'm going to stutter for the rest of my life. My stutter began when I was around 5 years old. What I think caused my stutter was being physically abused as a kid. I won't get much into details, but I would cry and hyperventilate. And I think, and I was forced to speak while doing that. And that's when I believed that my brain caught into the stuttering habit of forcing and repeating words. My childhood growing up wasn't good, to be completely honest. I have more bad memories than good ones. At school, I would get teased and bullied for the way that I spoke. And then right after school, I would come home and get physically abused. I was living a complete nightmare. It was a really high stressful environment for me growing up. In elementary, I did get speech therapy, but it really didn't do much to help me be fluent. Middle school came along, and during that time, I stopped receiving speech therapy because I had moved. Now I'm in high school. I wasn't getting bullied and teasing anymore, but I didn't really talk in high school. But when I did, it was a complete disaster. One day I remember clearly was when I went to the counselor's office to go ask about an elective that I wanted to get into. When I was trying to ask the counselor questions, I was forcing and making weird faces and repeating words. It was a really bad experience in terms of talking. Days after that go by, and I randomly get called into another classroom where I met up with a speech therapist. She had told me that the counselor told her about me and that I needed speech therapy. So from then and there, I started receiving speech therapy again. But it really didn't do much to help me beat my stutter. In high school, the first couple of years, I did get good grades, but then later, I just did the bare minimum to pass and graduate. I cheated myself out of good grades. I somehow managed to graduate and pass classes without ever giving a presentation. I was very lucky. Throughout my school years, I was depressed because there was a whole bunch of times where I would get really excited to say something, but I couldn't ever get past first words without stuttering or getting blocked. I felt like stuttering had taken so many opportunities away from me. So now I'm out of high school. So out of curiosity, I forced myself to make a phone call and record myself doing so. I wanted to see how I sounded like. So after that phone call, I played it back, and my speech was actually worse than I thought it was. I became even more depressed. There was times where I had to quit jobs because of my depression and my speech anxiety. I tried to avoid talking as much as I can. I even quit jobs, and that led me to become homeless for a few months. So one of the ways that I tried that I thought that was going to cure my stuttering was through meditation. I thought that meditation was a sure way to cure my stuttering. So I went to my local public library and took out a book on mindfulness meditation. What mindfulness meditation is pretty much just sitting still and letting go of any thought that comes to your head and just focus on your breathing. And all of this is just being present. I did this for almost 2 months, 40 minutes every day. Even though my anxiety had reduced, I still had fear of stutter, and I still appeared speech disabled. So meditation didn't cure my stutter. Years go by, and I thought to myself, maybe if I had more confidence, that definitely can cure my stutter. So I thought lifting weights was one of the ways to gain this confidence I was looking for. So I hired a personal trainer, and he broke things down to its simplest forms, which is just focus on the basics and get stronger at them. In terms of building muscle, the basics or the most bang for your buck are the compound movements, such as squats, deadlifts, bench press, etc., and get stronger at them. Lifting weights was the first thing I ever put my heart and soul into. I was extremely dedicated to the craft, where I was on point with my nutrition, and I never missed a day of working out. Even on my rest days, I still went to go to the gym and go work out. This also became a spiritual journey for me. Even though it's just lifting weights, it taught me so many life lessons. During this time, I also discovered the law of attraction. The law of attraction is a philosophy suggesting that positive thoughts bring positive results into a person's life, while negative thoughts bring negative outcomes. This was the first time I experimented with positive affirmations. I gave myself 3 affirmations and repeated them for 5 times a day. Those affirmations were, I am strong, I am worthy, I am confident, strong enough to overcome my stutter, to keep conversations going with my peers, and confident enough to step out of my comfort zones when talking. Even though these affirmations did help me in other areas of my life, it didn't do much to cure my stutter since it wasn't directly aimed at my speech. The last time I remembered appearing speech disabled was with my boss. We were having a conversation for about 30 minutes or so, and I was struggling to say almost every word. I was forcing and repeating, making weird faces. I was so embarrassed, and I felt bad for my boss for having to hear me stutter that whole time. That day, I had lost hope of ever beating my stutter and told myself, if I truly love myself, I have to accept the fact that I'm going to stutter for the rest of my life. A few weeks later, I type in my audiobook app, I type in Stutter, and Lee's book pops up, the 2nd edition. I gave it a listen, and it really helped a lot. What helped me the most was step 4 in the book, which is focusing on the message. The way I went about using this approach was, I guess I wanted to say, we were going to the park. I knew I was going to get stuck on weed. So what I did was picture the park, and I stopped paying attention to the first word, and I just said we were going to the park. It was the first time I said something without stuttering under extreme pressure. After that, I kept telling to myself, wow, wow, wow. From that moment, I knew I had become a PWSS. My speech was still a bit choppy, so I decided to join SAC, which is now known as WSSA. I got to work with Javier, and he pretty much laid out exactly what I needed to do to reduce my choppy speech. And that was to use my emergency speech plan when under pressure. I used that speech plan 24/7, even at times when I didn't have to. I really embraced using stops since it helped me reduce pressure when talking. Stops are now part of my speaking style. I'm currently working on loving to speak. Even though I don't love to speak quite yet, I do feel more confident in certain situations, and I'm talking more than what I'm used to. One major tip I have for a PWS or even PWSS is, if possible, stop all planning words, even when you don't feel that you're going to stutter. When you start planning words, quickly replace them with one positive speech affirmation and flood that affirmation in your mind until the word planning goes completely away. I believe humans were meant to communicate with one another. We're the only species in the world that can communicate verbally. All of us deserve our voices to be heard. Too many opportunities were taken away from us. So let's play the cards we were dealt with to the best of our abilities. I truly believe that anyone that gives their best to this program the way that it's laid out can become a PWSS. Thank you, Javier, for gravitating me towards the world of fluency even faster. And thank you, everyone that's part of this community. The progress I'm witnessing some of you make is motivating me to keep staying on the program. Thank you, Lee, for sharing your experience and knowledge with us. The fact that you actually found a solution is truly unbelievable. You gave me back hope when I had once lost it. Lee, if you were an animal, you would be a goat because you are the greatest of all time. Thank you.